Hey everyone, welcome to the Modern Indie Artist Podcast, where I talk to independent musicians from all walks of life. Today's guest is a metal band from Alabama with a modern take on Southern metalcore. I've been friends with them for quite some time. Welcome, A Hero, a Monster. What's up, guys? Thanks for being here, man.
Hey, boy.
Yeah, man. Sorry we're doing the podcast so late.
Yeah, we're both dads. We get it.
Yeah. How many kids do you have, Micah?
Just one at the moment. It'll maybe expand, but I think 2 is the magic number. Anything above that is just chaos. So.
It is. Let me tell you firsthand. It's absolute chaos. It's like Chuck E. Cheese.
I don't know how you do it. Yeah.
So anyways, thank you guys so much for being here, man. I appreciate you guys being patient with me and, being on the podcast, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So what's been going on with the band lately?
Yeah, we just released a teaser for a new track that's coming out next year with Convictions on it, which is like a Christian metalcore band from Ohio, I believe. A lot of people and pages are kind of like, what? They're collabing? And so we're like, yeah, man, we got that feature, dude. So to officially announce it, we have a new track that's coming out on January 6th called Wounds. And that's what we've been up to the past couple months. Nice. And we're playing a show in Birmingham at the Nick.
Nice.
You ever play there before?
I did a long time ago, dude. Like, I think it was like local band days. So.
It's where you get like your feet wet.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's so, because there's been a couple of shows that have come through that we would love to get on, and we still contact a lot of people that, we talk to from that area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With us being like kind of out of the scene, for some of us being out as long as we have been, and Tyler's really trying to dip his feet into a different realm of, genre. We were like, we don't want to go too crazy and try to jump on something too big at first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So finding something that was a little bit more intimate, kind of a little bit more small scale, to where it's just, there's not really nerves, it's more just getting some reps in and
really good.
Yeah, figuring out how each other play. For sure, yeah. And so we're excited about that because it's kind of like a low stress type show.
Yeah.
Is that going to be y'all's first show, or have you guys played a show before?
No, it'll be our first.
Yeah, it'll be our first, like, with all new members. I started this band in 2017, and we didn't, like, actually turn into a metalcore band until 2020, and that's when I recruited Jordan and then Micah, and yeah.
Yeah, I know Jordan from his other band, 2xC, and I did like a little EP.
Dude, I think I have the 2xC EP. Hold on.
Oh, really? Like the physical?
Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's hilarious. Yeah, I saw it the other day, and I was like, that's awesome. I was like, I need to keep that out. It was just happenstance.
Dude, that was like one of the first EPs I mixed when I first started doing it full time. Man, dude.
It's crazy how far it's like gone.
Yeah. It's cool if you say it. So.
It feels like just a couple of years ago. Yeah. I know this is probably going to go off the rails, but, like when you look back, whenever you see like early stuff that you've recorded and stuff, like how crazy is it to think about, like, now that you've turned it into a full-time gig?
It's wild, dude, because when I listen to stuff like that, I can hear like the potential in my ear. Like I'm like, okay, I didn't have it quite figured out back then, but like where I am now, I'm like, wow, like I'm glad I stuck with it. I mean, I still got a long way to go, but like I'm so much better now, and I still like listening to stuff like that. It just shows me where I came from,
For sure, yeah. It's humbling, for sure.
Yeah. But speaking of lineup changes, you guys recently went through a lineup change due to one of your members passing away.
Yeah, Caleb, he was our touring drummer, and he would come play like in music videos and stuff like that. We never needed him for the studio and everything because we do all our drums MIDI and everything, and we just didn't really want to pay that extra price to get like a drummer in the studio. So we were just like, we'll just do the cheaper way and hire a guy out.
And he was always with like 5,000 other music projects.
Yeah, he played in War of Ages, and he played in like so many cover bands, and like his last trip was he went to France with like a trumpet band or something like that, like a brass band, and played there. I thought that was just the coolest thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like, he was doing what we wanted to do.
He was like a touring like session drummer kind of thing.
Yeah, dude.
You could tell that's kind of where like he really enjoyed, because he didn't have to settle. Not to ever speak for him, but you could tell he really enjoyed constantly changing it up. Like it was fun for him. So, and that's what we always enjoyed having him for, just hanging out in general. It was much less business oriented than it usually is when you hang out with like a full band, with like drummers and everything. It always just felt like a group of guys just chilling, and having some fun. So it was good times.
I'm sorry, man.
It sucks, man.
Sorry to hear about his
Yeah,
passing.
thank you, man. I mean, it wasn't just us, man. It was a lot of people that
A lot of
and it
people were affected by that.
Yeah. Huge. It was a huge loss to the music scene in general.
Oh yeah, I saw somebody posting about it when it happened, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Hero Monsters drummer too. How has that affected you guys going forward?
Well, so we've been trying a new guy out, Jordan Atkins.
Oh,
Dang it.
Jordan.
Jordan
I know
Atkins.
Jordan.
Dadkins.
Yeah, as I was about to say, to be fair, you've only ever heard his nickname, so it's like we always call him Dadkins.
Dadkins.
So we've known Dadkins for
He
a while.
played with 2x.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were in a crunch because we had another guy that we were trying to get to play with us.
It just kind of fell through.
Yeah,
it didn't work.
It was a little, communications when they go back and forth. Sometimes, numbers start getting thrown around and some stuff gets wacky.
Typical drummer
Yeah,
issues. Yeah, I get it.
But we're talking like the dude was like, yeah, I'm gonna need to pay for like my plane ticket and stuff. And we're like, dude, it's like 2 hours away from you. Like, why do you need to fly? Like, we'll come get you, homie. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
I don't know.
That's hilarious.
But it's all good. It is what it is.
fine,
But
yeah.
so it was cool because we've known Dadkins for a while, and he's a metalcore drummer by heart. So it was a no brainer to, and he was really pumped about getting a chance to at least to do something cool for Caleb because this show was going to be really exciting for us to have Caleb do a first show with us. It's cool to have someone along that kind of knows it's a little heartfelt for us as well.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was, like I said, it was kind of a no-brainer. It just worked out for us.
Yeah.
So I know that some of you guys in the band are Christians, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Almost.
I forget there's only 3 of us technically in the band. But yeah, we are. All of us are Christians,
Cool.
yes.
Do you write about some of that stuff, or is that just something you guys keep to yourself or include in the band?
Honestly, dude, I mean, like, it's, a really big part of our life and everything. And we're very committed to serving God and everything. But we do not like to put that label on our band because we feel like we're already reaching people that are saved. When you don't have that label on you, you can go and play. You don't have to worry about going and play bars and festivals and everything and all that. Like, but when you kind of have that label on, people kind of expect you to like, I guess be preachy and stuff like that, maybe. And
and
we're not that.
I mean, that's how the Christian metalcore bands have been back in the day. I don't think that's the way it should be going forward. But yeah, you're right.
We're not very preachy or anything. We're the kind of people that just want to hang out with you and like, get to know you and love on you and stuff. And, just that's what Christians do and everything. I'm not saying anybody else does it differently, but just we want to love people and everything and not have to go out there and be like, John 3:16 says this or something, we don't want to be that preachy kind of band. We happen to write about things to do with, what we believe in and everything, but we also write about different things,
Well, and it's impossible, religion, for anyone that's religion is important to them, it's impossible to not have that influence your writing, like in some way, shape, or form, whether it's subconsciously or intentionally. And but to piggyback off of what he's saying, though, it's another reason we've never really had that label is because we do write about things like doubt. We write about a lot of darker concepts that aren't
this new song, like
if you did not know we were a Christian band or that Mike is a Christian and Convictions was a Christian band, you would assume that it's a very, I don't want to say anti-religious song, but you would assume it's coming from that angle. The whole like EP and stuff that we've had has had a pretty strong narrative the entire time, and so we're still trying to carry on with that storyline that we're trying to complete. And I don't think we could tell the story that we're trying to tell if we were trying to be preachy or if we were trying to be too G. You got to get a little. I don't want to say
honest. Like we're being like super honest. Like what happens when you go through grief?
Yeah.
You
legitimate grief.
You get angry. You get angry at God. You don't you question Him. Why would you take away somebody that I love so much and just take them away from my life and everything? You want to that's what people want in music is to feel that and everything,
Catharsis.
to know that they're not alone in that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And, we want people to understand that, yes, we're like Christians and everything, but we get like, there's going to be dark moments.
For sure,
like,
man.
People
We're not naive to, the real world, and what happened.
We screw up just like everybody else.
For sure, man. And I think that's a good way to approach it, like to reach people, because you're going to be in there in the trenches, figuratively with people in their minds, in their hearts, and they can relate to that. It's not going to be all gumdrops and rainbows. It's like Christianity's a lot more in depth, more real than that. So
Absolutely.
I think we need more bands like that, that are going to write about the real topics and get digging deep, instead of the topical verses, like let's talk about some real stuff about being human.
Yeah. And it's almost, the darker you get, the stronger Christianity can stand out.
Mm-hmm.
It's, whenever you start talking about those dark conversations and stuff, people are, like you said, the surface level verses that everyone knows, people hear that constantly, and they're regurgitated and recycled over and over, and people kind of almost become callous to it. They don't really pick it up anymore. But if you start talking about things like depression, start talking about loss, you start talking about, whether it's religious doubt or just doubt in general, about, your life, your direction, where you go, things that everyone does, secular, religious or not, or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think people can relate to that a little bit more, whether they agree with the way that you look at it because of your religious beliefs. They can still empathize with where you're coming from whenever when you're sitting in that situation.
Yeah,
for sure, man. Well said. I like to think that, my band does that in a way. We do we're a little more bold with it just because I feel like a conviction to be, because I haven't, been very bold in my faith in the beginning. I don't know. I'm trying to turn a new leaf on that, but
yeah.
And I think that's
that's respect too. Just to say, it takes a lot of courage.
It does, man. I mean, people are gonna hate you, and people are gonna make fun of you. People are gonna judge you, and you can't pay attention to any of that. You got to keep your eyes and your heart on God. So, and that's where we're at.
Well, and you're not here to please the world.
Exactly.
You're here to please Him, and you're here to do His work. So,
for sure.
And you're not going to achieve that by worrying about what the comment section says on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. So, speaking of Christian bands, I'm curious of what you guys' thoughts are on this. Like, so what do you guys think about Christian bands that are like they leave their faith? Like they're,
like Under Oath.
Yeah, like, and that not just not just Under Oath, man. There's a lot of bands out there like that are just like they start one way and then they kind of veer off, and you're like, what happened? Like, why? Like, and
we actually have this conversation a lot.
So
it's a pretty common topic that pops up whenever we get together.
Well, let's talk about it.
First of all, I just want to go ahead and say it. Okay, if you do that and you're one of those bands and you immediately try to find ways to sneak PG-rated cuss words into the titles of your songs, it's lame and cringe. Don't do it. It's not edgy.
No.
Stop, bro. Like, it's so, like, again, I'm not going to dog bands that do it, but when I see it, I'm just like, come on. It's just, it's so cringy. All right, you don't have to, like, I've dropped F-bombs and cuss words in my music. It's not, look at me. I'm not hard or intimidating. It's not, it's not edgy to do so. It's just, I think it's a lot of people that want to cash out, man, to be honest. They struggle, and it's a lot about what you said earlier. You're going to be chastised, you're going to be antagonized, you're going to be villainized, and I think there's a lot of people that can't weather that. And in their faith, you could argue that sometimes it might not be that strong to begin with, almost like they cashed in on their faith at the beginning, and it wasn't the actual meaning behind what they did. Mm-hmm. But I think I don't have any disrespect towards people that do that, because I know everyone does have their own journey. Mm-hmm. I know people personally that have taken that journey, and my heart goes out to them because I still love them. Mm-hmm. But just me personally, if you just want my honest opinion, I see it kind of cowardice in a way. Mm-hmm. I think conviction is a very rare trait that you don't see nowadays.
Yeah,
and that's a big thing about Christianity is you're supposed to have conviction.
Yeah,
and
not just for
a lot of
a
people miss
year.
that mark.
or 5 years.
Right, yeah.
So, like when you take
Not just for 21 days of prayer, it's for
forever.
absolutely,
When you take that walk with God, then that's it, dude.
Yeah.
You're turning your old life in and starting a new one.
shedding that skin, bro.
Yeah. So I just never got that. The whole Christian band's just like, oh, we're not Christian no more.
I think it's really because they grew up in the church and like they never knew what it was really like to experience God. They were, fed it and everything like that, and they were just like, oh, it's going to be great. And then once they go out to the world,
Where they're tested.
where they're actually tested and everything, they're just like, oh man, like nobody's helping me, like everything sucks, like, and they just start blaming things and everything.
And it's easy to immediately blame
Anything
God
else.
for something
Yeah.
bad that happens. Like it's like the easy, because everyone, human nature, you want to look for someone to blame.
Yeah.
And if you can't point your fingers at someone in front of you, it's so much easier to point your fingers at something you don't understand.
Exactly.
And I think that goes for anything, whether it's religion or not. It's a whole lot.
Our government,
Yeah,
we're always just kind of like, oh, because of that president, this happened or something like that. It's just like there's a lot more to it than that, like
Yeah.
Yeah. And religion is just the age-old scapegoat for that.
I feel like that's where people get stuck, is because they automatically go to religion, like the word religion, and that's not what God is. God will even tell you, like, it's a relationship. It's not religion.
Exactly.
It's not
exactly
rules and all this. Yeah, God wants you to be a certain way, but because He's after your heart, not because He wants to put some rules.
He doesn't want you to die, man.
Yeah.
Like all sin leads to death. Like if you think about all those things that he's talking about with sins and everything, those can potentially lead you to your death, like prematurely and everything, and you're not able to serve him fully. So.
Yeah, I mean, he lays out, the path to a better life is laid out very clearly.
Yeah.
And, it's cherry picked, unfortunately. And when it's cherry picked, you lose the value of what it really is.
Yeah.
And, I think if religious or not, if you look at a religion that teaches you the tenets of love, everyone, teaching compassion, teaching forgiveness, things like that, that's nothing but benevolent. It's going to do nothing but positive things in the world.
Yeah.
And when people use that to put blame for something that's unfortunately a human thing, such as anger, such as,
people doing
envy,
wrong things in the name of Christianity and everything.
Yeah. And
they put it in the name of God, but it's really just, it's people that are messed up. These people probably just say they know God and they don't even know God.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just using him for themselves. Power. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens all the time with cults, like.
Yeah.
It's
For sure, yeah.
Textbook 101, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what people think that Christianity is sometimes too. And I urge them to like stop and like actually like read the word, learn about who God was.
Yeah.
And also like the Old Testament is like, a lot of people get scared away from the Old Testament, but the Old Testament's there for a reason, or to let
It's a prequel, dude.
Yeah.
It's just a prequel.
It's the prequel.
That's it. It's a prequel
Yeah.
to the original.
Exactly.
It's
just
it is Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3 to 4, 5, and 6.
And some of the, I don't want to misspeak, but I use this for lack of a better term. Some of the cooler stories that happen that are like more fantastical happen in Old Testament.
Yeah.
Like New Testament is Christ, and it's his whole life and everything.
Yeah.
Old Testament is where you get so many of these crazy spiritual encounters of normal people that were just living their lives, and they're coming across these somewhat mystical encounters that you just can't wrap your head around.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people want to say it's metaphor and stuff, but there's a lot to be said about some of the things that are in Old Testament that have played out, in modern day.
Yeah.
And the same goes for Revelation. It's such a phenomenal book that people that don't read it or don't actually try to dive into it are missing out on like one of the greatest pieces of literature ever written.
Right.
Whether you believe it's fiction or nonfiction.
Yeah.
And it's just it's the stigma of, like you said earlier, religion that turns people off of it. And it's a shame.
It really is, man. Yeah, well said, dude.
Good job, Micah. Thanks.
I mean,
I teach Sunday schools on Sunday morning.
I mean, I'd love to dive in deeper with you guys, but I mean, I know that's not what we came to talk. Well, I don't know
we
if you guys
can talk about stuff like this whenever. We can do a whole separate podcast on it.
we could, man.
Theology lessons with a bunch of numbskulls.
So you guys released a single not long ago called Ghost.
So I had a buddy of mine. I mean, he doesn't really mind me talking about it, but I always feel bad kind of talking about it. He experienced a very unfortunate loss, that his significant other has passed away. Mm-hmm. It was he's a dear friend of mine. She was a dear friend of mine. And I reached out to him, I told him, I said, hey, look, I don't really know how to express, my condolences for you, but it's really been heavy on my heart. But we would love to write a song kind of based off of your experience and try to tell your story. And it was really cool, man. He and I had a very long, heartfelt talk about it. I felt really weird because I didn't want him to feel like I was ever like trying to capitalize on his pain. Mm-hmm. It was purely out of respect and a way for me to honor a friend. That whenever they passed, it did leave a little bit of a hole in my own heart. Mm-hmm. And in the process of writing that song, our guitarist Jordan, his grandfather actually passed away, and his grandfather basically raised him. It was like his father figure. I had written like a demo version of that song called Ghost, and it sounded totally different, but the main riff was there. The opening riff was still on the song, and he said, hey, I'd love to kind of jot some lyrics down. I've never written lyrics, but I want to get some stuff off my chest. And so I was like, go at it. So he sent some lyrics, sent some back to me and Tyler because we were in the studio recording, and we just kind of rehashed a bunch of stuff, reworked
with our
things.
Producer Zach.
Yeah, Zach. Yeah. Zach's he's
like an honorary fourth member.
Band. He's like an unofficial member. Yeah. I mean, he's a co-writer with us.
Yeah, he's a producer, co-writer.
What's his full name? So for the
Zach Keel.
Zach Keel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zach Keel. Phenomenal. Yeah. He's got a band called Hollow City.
Yeah, he's
phenomenal band.
Cool. New Orleans.
But he's an amazing writer. Great guy, and we've done everything with him. So he's literally just another member of the band. Zach, we all sat down together and really hashed out the lyrics, and so kind of turn it into something about loss in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then when Caleb passed, the song kind of took a whole new meaning for us. Unknowingly, it was when we wrote it in studio. We literally talked about we wanted to write a song to where in the future, if we ever had a loss in our life, we would be able to go back to it and be able to use it as catharsis as well.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want it to be so laser focused on a specific topic, but we knew, where the inspiration was from and what it was going to be about.
Right.
So we had that discussion very openly, and then it was wild because whenever that happened with Caleb, all of us
later.
Yeah, literally within the month, we all found ourselves going back to the song, and it was very bittersweet because it was, something we had written for that purpose, but none of us expected to use it. So, loss. That's grief and losses.
Loss and everything,
The whole stages of going through, what it takes when you lose somebody, initial anger, refusal to accept it, loneliness, addiction. Pretty much all of that is the music video and the lyric video kind of symbolically touches on stuff like that, mm-hmm. but the basic idea was there.
That main riff, though, man, that main riff was a banger. The beginning of the song,
like a Deftones kind of, oh boy, got that twang, boy.
When we were recording it in studio, Zach and I were laughing because it was the first song that he and I really sat down and wrote together.
Yeah.
And so I showed him the demo, and I showed him that original riff, and he was like, "That's sick. The rest of it's trash. But we're gonna use that riff." I was like, all right, that's sick. Right. And he was like, yeah, this song is a musical journey. And I was like, yeah. Because we argued, I don't know if you've noticed, the song doesn't have a breakdown in it.
No.
It's got a section where it kind of teases it.
It's like a pre-breakdown, but it never gets to the breakdown.
It's right there. And we literally argued for probably an hour straight in the studio if we needed to have a breakdown or not.
Dude, and I think it was well written. That's probably my favorite song. I think that's your most well-written song.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, dude.
We think the next one is going to be, it's going to be better.
I better have another twang.
Dummy thick.
It's dummy thick. Yeah,
it's dummy thick.
Oh, nice. I can't wait.
We kind of found our sound. We like heavy stuff, but at some point you're just writing heavy music to write heavy music. You're not writing for composition. You're not writing to take people on a journey. At some point you're just writing to write, and to show off. And we didn't want to do that anymore. We didn't want just our typical recipe of opening riff, verse 1, pre-chorus, chorus, verse 2. We we'd done that with 3 songs prior.
Yeah,
so
Zach kept saying the lines like, let's get weird with it,
Yeah.
man.
it was
like, I
yeah.
like weird stuff. And I was like, yeah, all right.
We would get to a section and be like, what do we do next? And we'd say something. He'd be like, we're doing the opposite of that. And that was how we approached the entire song. So it was a really cool journey for us to write.
The lyrics, he was just like, that's super dark, but man, that's awesome. Let's do it. You know,
That's cool.
Like,
I've never met Zach, and I already like him. I think he's a good producer.
dude, he is straight honest.
You need to reach out to him.
He will tell you when something sounds like shit and then something sounds good, but he is honest with you. He don't bullshit.
He would be great to have on the podcast. He's an awesome guy to talk to.
I'll keep that in mind, man.
We described this earlier, like the way we both write music. We're like a chopping cleaver, right? A meat cleaver, right? People like you and Zach are like your scalpels.
Yeah.
So like we know how to get the big pieces out of the song and the backbone, and people like you and Zach know how to really fine tune and make it
all
new.
those layers to the onions,
The nuances, yeah.
I think I can agree with that.
That's why collaboration is so cool because you can't have 2 baseball bats going in there and creating a sculpture. You got to have a chisel somewhere. You got to have someone doing something a little bit sharper than big chords, pretty songs sound good.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of layers and everything added to
That
it.
was the sickest analogy I've ever heard. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Oh, senpai, yeah.
I feel so sad.
Senpai jujitsu, brother.
Micah, it's so weird, dude, because me and you, we're from the same town.
Evil. Pratt Vegas, baby.
And the funny thing is like growing up, I would hear your name thrown about, like people, musicians, and they'd be like, hey, you should go jam with Micah Rector. He likes metal music too, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know this kid.
Screamo stuff.
Yeah. And like people were always pushing me to like go talk to you, but I never did. I mean, this is like when I was like a teenager, but it's kind of weird, dude, how like full circle, like Small World comes all back, like.
I mean, because we got along like instantly the first time we met. Like, it's like we had known each other the whole time. I mean, I just remember on the scene, we would always be in random bands here or there or playing. And it was always like, that guy's like leagues above. I hope he never wants to jam with me. I'd be so embarrassed to pull out my guitar. So I've always considered myself a very mediocre guitarist. So like, that's probably why we never jammed, because I was very close-circled, conservative guitar player, I guess.
Dude, what was that band you were in where you were screaming?
Yeah, talk about the one that we went on the road with?
Yeah, where we
Amnesty, please.
Amnesty,
yeah.
Dude. Your screaming in that band was so sick. That band sounded like almost kind of like Architects a little bit.
It was very, very, very unintentional. It was a scream that I never knew I could do. And when Naysayer came out and I heard it, I was like, oh, that does sound kind of cool in metal. Like, I wonder if I can do stuff like that. On the song on the first album that I wrote, where I really tried to do the sing screamy stuff, I felt really comfortable with it. And it was like the first time I enjoyed hearing my vocals come back. You know what it's like whenever you record something, you lay it and you hear it, you're like, oh, that's trash. Get it off.
Yeah.
But it was like the first time in studio where I laid something and I was like, that's cool. Like, that sounds really neat. Whenever Architects kind of blew up, Blythe Stewart, who I was with at the time in Amnesty, him and Kyle Thorstad, who was also in there, were really pushing for me to lean into that. Like, Kevin was always behind it, Langley, the producer, but Blythe and Kyle were like very adamant, or like lean into it because you can pursue that.
I agree. I think you should be doing that too for the Hero Monster stuff, like your background screams.
A little bit in there.
There's a little bit in there. I know there's a little bit in Ghosts, I think.
Well, there's more in the next song. I don't want to give too much away. But I will say, it's not like a movie or something. I'm not under contract.
We are not a part of a label.
Well, so the cool thing about the next song is if you get a feature on a song, typically it's, hey, here's a breakdown, sing these lyrics, right? And the reason we're calling it more of a collaboration than just a feature is because when we approached Mike, we were like, hey, we really want you to do your own thing. Like, we're not going to give you lyrics. We're not going to give you any kind of approach. Here's a song.
Record.
Yeah, like if you want to do 2 minutes of the song, do as much as you want. We just told him kind of what the background was. He got our lyrics that for our parts and like the chorus of it, and then the rest of it, he just ran with it. Like, it was probably within like the first day he sent back lyrics. Dude, yeah, it was immediate. Like, he's one of the best vocalists I've ever worked with.
Professional, man. Yeah. It's just hats off to him, dude.
We've worked with other vocalists or attempted to that like I won't mention his but it was a guy that we really wanted on the song because we were like, dude, he'd be perfect.
Is he like a well-known guy?
In a fairly big band, and we talked to him too, like in person, and he was like,
cool, dude.
yeah, he was cool, and he was like, dude, I'm down to do it. This is a sick song, like in studio with us, and like listen to us while we were tracking, and dude, he put us on the back burner for like weeks, probably like 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It just
happened.
Wouldn't respond. We were like, hey, we got the money, we're ready to deposit. When can you lay stuff? And he just never did it. After a long conversation, we came across Mike. We all decided on him. Just like the best decision ever because he's the most professional vocalist I've ever worked with. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be very aggressive.
It was like a perfect feature, man.
And you feel it when that happens. You're like,
It was meant to be.
Yeah, that was a good choice.
Awesome, man. I'm happy for you guys. I can't wait to hear it now. You guys are talking it up.
We're just ready to release it.
Yeah, I get that,
we've sat on it. We recorded in like July. I think it was July.
Yeah. But I was going to ask, speaking of sound-alike vocalists, Tyler, have you ever gotten anybody telling you that you sound like Howard from Killswitch?
All the time.
I knew it.
All the time. Yeah. Hardcore Keem did a reaction to our video.
No, really?
And he was like, he sounds like Howard Jones. And I was just like, dude, everybody says that, man. And I'm honored.
Dude, we were a funny story about that.
I call him Chester Bennington, and I'm the Howard Jones, and we just do like a collab on something. So,
funny story. Jordan Thompson, Daddy Thompson. Yeah. We were trying to think about who to get for the guest vocalist, and Jordan sent me a message, and he was like, "Hey, what if we surprised Tyler and we contacted Howard Jones to get him trying to feature?" And Jordan didn't realize he sent that in the group text. So like Tyler just responds back. He's like, "You idiots, we can't afford him. What are you talking about?
Afford him?"
That's hilarious.
We're like, but what if?
He's gonna look at this. He's gonna be like, no.
I sent it to him on a Facebook message.
$30,000.
It's 1,000. Oh my god, it'll be like 10 grand.
Oh, dude, yeah.
It'd be wild. Yeah. It'd be cool. That's like our dream like feature because
it'd be dope. They're always like, dude, we should play My Curse live.
It'd be dope.
I'm like, no,
it'd be so sick.
No covers. We're not doing covers, man.
That's funny. Oh yeah, we were talking about the Ghost video. Didn't you say, Micah, that you? I can't remember if you said you edited it or you directed the video.
Well, I say directing kind of loosely because we kind of really just shot on the fly. It was kind of like a guerrilla style shoot. But we had a good buddy, Gray. It's Alderman. I always say his last name wrong.
Gray Alderman.
Alderman.
He's a guy I grew up with in Mississippi. He's like, he does video. Like videography is like his main thing.
Phenomenal guy. But he came in and did all the DP stuff, like director photography stuff. And really helped us with the vision.
All the equipment and everything, and
helped us with like grip.
Yeah, and he's worked on like I think a couple movie sets and stuff like that before, and he went to college and stuff.
The video is like super high quality, like looks like a movie almost.
Super low budget. Gray and I, like I've done a couple of like indie films before. I've done just a little bit of stuff here and there, like nothing crazy, but enough to kind of just get an idea, of how to set up like a stage and stuff. So it was cool because Gray came in with a lot of cool ideas on, like how to set up color in the room and things like that.
Yeah, and how to make it look dreamy and stuff. Fog and all that.
So it was cool. It was, like I said, a lot of that was done literally sitting down and going, all right, what can we do next? Like, what's the next thing we can do to make the story? And we just kind of built the whole video as we shot. And so we had no idea what it was going to look like when we edited. We didn't really know what we had that was workable or not. It was just, we had to get something.
It worked out.
You did a good job, man. It looks solid.
First attempt.
Oh, really? First attempt?
That was your first time using DaVinci Resolve?
Yeah. I think I remember messaging you and I was like, hey, I need an editing and a color program one day. And then, dude, like I went like head first into DaVinci, and it was cool. And so like, I've been able to do some like lyric video stuff. So it's exciting. So
that's a good way for us to also save money too.
Sure.
Doing a lot of stuff in house.
Yeah, so we don't have to outsource.
Yeah, dude, DaVinci Resolve is legit. I still use it. I use it for all my videos.
Great,
man. Dude, it's so good.
And
it's free.
And I use it for a main like editing program. I'd use it for everything. So I mean, it's just I don't like to have 18 different programs that I have to open up and do stuff with. So when I find one that I like really stick to it. I'm just stubborn like that.
I was also curious, what kind of camera did you guys use to shoot that video?
It was a Black Magic Pocket 4K,
Oh
I believe.
my God, those are
With
expensive.
and I think he had a Sigma art lens,
I know what you're talking about.
835 or something like that.
See, all that is way over
And he
my
had
head.
like a dream filter on it and everything. You know, a very like nice, kind of expensive setup.
I say low budget, but like the
Yeah.
camera was by far the most. But I think all that was owned by Gray, though, wasn't it? That's
Yeah,
all,
he bought all that stuff like in probably the span of like 10 years.
We could not have done it without him. Like
Yeah.
there's no way we could have done that video
Yeah,
if he'd not
exactly.
agreed to it. So it was a blessing.
Yeah. Well, it turned out great, man. What are some of the things you guys are doing or that you've learned this year as a DIY band?
Marketing. Oh my gosh, marketing is like the biggest thing. Besides, you know, having a good song, I've been like studying the Facebook conversions and the YouTube stuff for like probably like 2 or 3 years now. I don't have the capacity to like really just sit down with it for hours and to get it like, you know, nitpick and everything to get the correct conversion campaign. I know how people can do it that are fake marketers, and I know how people can do it that are real marketers because I've seen people do it. You know, you pay somebody like a couple $100 and then they'll get you on all these botted playlists, and then you're screwed out of your Spotify because your numbers are about to go back down and everything, versus somebody that actually knows how to do conversion ads and conversion campaigns and, you know, the right countries to reach and, you know, how to do the ads, how they should look, you know, who are they pertaining to, you know. I know how to do all that stuff, but I just need somebody else to do it as I can do it.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, numbers don't mean anything unless they're authentic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if they're flashy numbers and you look like you have a ton of people listening to your music, but your monthly listeners aren't reflecting that, then
You
there's
gotta
something
think
dramatically
about,
wrong.
Like, what are your monthly listeners are going to look like in the next 3 to 6 months after the single? You know, are they still going to be high? Or are they going to drop like really low or something? You know, and so
Because burnout is real. Like you can drop so much music to try and keep your monthly listeners up to where you start to burn yourself out. And if you approach things and pace yourself and have a solid game plan and stick to the game plan, you see results compound a little bit faster than if you're just sporadically dropping 10 to 12 songs every couple of months. You know, and that's, you know, and to each his own. You know, there's some people that can drop a song a week and, you know, they can take off, and there's some people that can drop one album every 5 years and be massive. But you have to really figure out what your audience is wanting from you and what they're kind of doing and what their patterns are.
plus you have to be willing to grow. You know, you have to be willing to take advice from people and everything, or, you know, hire somebody and like just be willing to put aside your pride and everything and just be like, okay, I do need to like hire somebody. This is the vision that I want, and I don't want it, you know, any less or anything. I want it perfect and everything, look good and everything. So sometimes you have to, you know, outsource and find people to help you with that.
man.
In that same vein, sometimes you have to learn to say no. You know,
It's true.
if you hire somebody to do a job, whether it be something, you know, like album art or anything, and you get something back and you don't like it, you can say no, and you don't have to use that product. You know, at the end of the day, you're responsible for what your product looks like whenever you release it. And regardless of who you hire to assist with that, it's still your call at the end of the day. And you know, a lot of people are afraid, you know, they'll hire someone to do something and they get back mediocre work and it's not really what they want, but they don't want to hurt someone's feelings. So they use it. You know, they could have gone a lot further if they were just like, hey man, I appreciate it. It's just not what we're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to go a different route.
Yeah, just be nice about it and be honest about it, man. And it's okay to say no. Like you don't have to answer for a record label if you're independent, and so you can say no to a lot of things and stuff. You know?
Yeah, and I'll add to that, like about the whole thing with the marketing, like understanding your demographic, like who is actually listening to you, paying attention to your stuff, and only you know that, because you can hire somebody to get these bots and these fake numbers for you, but they're not going to know your demographic. And a good tool is, I know you guys might have heard me talk about it before, but it's Spotify for Artists.
Spotify for Artists.
Yeah, utilize those numbers, man. Like you can dive in there and like figure out the age range of people that are actually listening to you, and what cities, what countries, and then you take that information and you put it into a conversion ad or whatever campaign on Facebook.
Right.
And you will get way more engagement with, you're targeting the actual people that are going to be listening to you. So I would utilize that for sure. For like the people that are releasing singles and people that are releasing albums, I mean, everyone's different. They're on their own journey. I feel like just understanding your demographics is probably the best way forward.
You can target 300,000 people if you want, but it doesn't mean 300,000 people are going to listen to your music.
Yeah.
If you target 10,000 people in the demographic that is going to work, you're going to get so much further doing that, and your money's going to go so much
like,
further.
you're picking out options like, oh, hey, we know that we sound like Architects or, this band or something like that. And so we put that in there, It's like for fans of this, blah, blah, blah,
And there's nothing wrong with doing that either. I mean, don't feel bad for putting in, we sound like Kill Switch or whatever, like people are going to dig that.
That's a seller, that's how you sell your business, like you have to tell people what you sound like.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in emulating somebody and sounding like
exactly. I wasn't meaning that at all. Like you guys are rip off.
Yeah, no. And But there, a lot of people are afraid of that though.
Yeah.
They're afraid we know he sounds like Howard, so we lean into it. Like I know that I have an Architect style scream like Sam, so I lean into it. You find your strengths and you work with it. It doesn't mean you're ripping someone off. I mean, it's just you're taking something that's speaking to you or that resonates with you in a certain way and using it to your own art.
I mean, if you look at every band, like there's some version of a band that they like love.
Yes.
I feel like in you guys' case though, you're not trying to sound like the people that you sound like. So that's the biggest thing.
That's true.
Once you know what you sound like, you know how to use it in the song.
And you said something about burning out, by releasing a bunch of music or whatever, and then your numbers go down. Like, dude, that happened to us. Like this past year, we were grinding and just releasing song after song, and our monthly listeners went up, and it was like true, like pure engagement. There was a moment where I got burnt out because we missed a deadline.
Yeah.
Like this is the honest, the honest truth. This was like the beginning. Like Sarah was like having a little trouble summoning the lyrics just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I've write music my whole life, so like I can just write a song like that. So I have the song ready, and then Sarah's like, I don't know what to write about, and so we get through the month, and it's like literally like the last like week before the song should be out, and I'm like, Sarah, you have to write something. Just
Something's got to be written.
as anything, just write something. And she did. She ended up writing, and we ended up tracking, and mixing and everything, and putting it on Spotify like the very last day of the month. And it was so stressful. It was like the most.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And this was like the third or fourth month, single a month.
Yeah.
So the month after that, I was so stressed out. Like I had a ulcer.
Yeah, it just became physical stress.
Yeah.
Dang.
And it was so bad on me, dude. Like I was so scared of that happening again. And it did. It happened again. Yeah. And Sarah was having just super difficult time, right? Like just coming up with lyrics on the spot, which I can understand because this is like a first for her.
Lyrics are not easy to write.
No.
If anyone says they are, they're lying.
No.
Like they're not easy to write.
You kind of got to have a poetic kind of creative side to your brain. And Sarah, she does, but she's really got to pull it out of herself. And after it happened again, it defeated me mentally. And I took like a 2-month break. Like I didn't want to take a 2-month break, but I felt like I had to, or else I was going to go crazy.
Yeah. Got to refresh, absolutely.
And it set us back. So we only released 8 singles instead of 12 because of this 2-month little hiatus thing. And our Spotify went down, and that happened, and we were just constantly just trying to pick it back up. And now we're getting to a point where it's coming back up.
A close friend of mine that would always tell me, like, hey, I always sit down and write like the beginning part of a song, but I never finish it. And I'm like, dude, I can do 18,000 beginnings of the song. I was like, the trick is finishing a song. Mm-hmm. You've got to stick through it, and you've got to tell yourself, I'm not doing anything else until I'm done with this song. At the end of that journey, you feel a little bit more fulfilled.
Because the more you do it, the more you try to, like, I guess, force yourself to be creative. Eventually, it's going to come natural to you, and you're working that creative muscle out. Like you said, now it's easier for Sarah. Like, it's a little bit better now. Like, she can actually write lyrics every month now.
Yeah, I think it was Eminem that said one time, like, he always carries that book and he just writes stuff. And they ask him why he constantly writes. And he said it's just to get into that constant state of writing. You know, even if he doesn't use it, it's good to have your brain practiced. And I've always liked that idea. Is like, you know, even if you just write in a random notebook, random crap that doesn't mean anything, you're still teaching your brain to engage into that motion. Yeah. And that goes a lot for anyone that's trying to be creative. You got to just teach your brain to push through the uncomfortable moments.
Yeah, for sure. And I do that with guitar too. Like when I'm writing a song, I'll write like, you know, a riff, or I'll write like the first like minute of a song, and then I'll come back to it like the next day or a couple days later, but I'll keep working on it, because I know if I just let it go, it'll just be one of those riff graveyard things where you put the riff later to a song 2 years from now.
Riff graveyard.
Yeah. But like now we're in the business of writing music more frequently, so I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm like, I'll start a song and I'll just be like intently focused on it until it's done.
Yeah, almost like tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that's how I get. If you're in the vibe and you're feeling the song, it's like nothing else in the world matters. You got to finish that song. Yeah. It's like I'm in this mode. I don't care if it takes me 12 hours. I've got to finish it. Mm-hmm. But it's hard because there's a balance, you know, especially with you doing it from home. You can only imagine what that's like. But I know with me, you know, with having a full-time job and doing it and a kid, you know, it's a hard balance, you know, because when you get in those creative modes, you know, you're locked up for 8 hours and you're like, oh, crap. I didn't do anything I was supposed to do. Yeah.
Man, we're in there like studio. It's from like 10 a.m. to about 10 p.m., bro.
Oh, man.
Like, we're going.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Zach smoking cigarettes, we would probably never see sunlight. Like, thank God for smokers, right?
Dude, yeah.
But I do have another question for you. It's pertaining to the DIY thing. Are you guys like planning on staying DIY? Or are you going to be like shopping for labels eventually? Or is it just here on out, you're going to be DIY?
I think my plan...
Bring me the money. You want to bring money to the table, let's talk, homie. Well, but if you want me to pay you to be a label, no. Bring me some money.
The thing that I really enjoy, I think Periphery did it. Like, there's another band called Citizen Soldier. Mm-hmm. That's like a bigger rock kind of band or something. We want to be independent up to like a point, at least get to the point when we're independent that we can pay our bills. Yeah. Like all three of us can pay our bills and be comfortable. And then if a record label wants to reach out and be like, hey, what is it? Like a licensing or distribution?
Distribution would be the main thing.
Yeah, distribution, you know, like if Sumerian or somebody was just like, let's do like distribution deal, and you know, you can have your masters back when we're done after like 5 or 10 years.
Like I don't mind paying for music videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, if you want to bring a deal to the table with marketing and distribution on it, that's when the conversation gets interesting to me.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that like to say that they're on a label and like to run with the idea of, oh, we're signed to a label.
That means we're big shots, and it's nah, dog. Like,
I mean,
we got the same amount of monthly listeners, if not more. Like that, it's like. It doesn't matter anymore, you know.
And it's not cost us any more money to do. You know, we've just done it with a game plan. And
yeah, exactly.
We're doing the same thing that a label would do, which is reaching out to marketing people and getting them to do what they want for us.
Because a label's just pretty much like a loan. Like, you know, it's like a bank. You're taking out a loan and everything. And,
yeah.
You know, you have to pay it back, and like
they do have connections, though. They do have connections to other resources.
Yeah.
I'm not ever against the label at all, but I am against the idea of what a lot of local bands do is signing to a label just to be able to put that on their social media. You know,
it's just
it's got to be. I mean, like I'm in my 30s, man. You know, it's got to make sense.
Yeah.
Plus, I know tons of bands like Left to Suffer, Victims, Distinguisher. Yeah. You know, there's a ton of independent bands that own their masters that are crushing it and that are doing really well with their streaming numbers and everything, but they're killing it with merch and they're touring. You know, basically all they just had to do was like hire maybe like a manager or like a touring manager or something like that, or you know, booking.
The management side will always be the side that would benefit the most with,
right?
Because there's a lot of people that are just not business savvy enough to do that. But you know, that's also the nature of it. But if getting a manager and a record label are about the same type of thing. You know, you got to have someone that's really looking out for your interest and not theirs.
Yeah.
And you're not going to find that until you have something to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And we don't have anything to bring to the table. You know, like if a record label approached us right now, we'd be like, suspicious fries
Yeah.
is suspicious, right? Like
It's like they know what they know what we got and everything, or they're gonna exploit us and just,
Yeah.
take all of our earnings and everything.
yeah.
Because I mean, if people don't think about what streaming is and how that's reoccurring revenue that you get when you're sleeping and you don't have to do a thing basically for streaming and everything, people would think about it differently.
Yeah.
You know?
They think about it like you're not paid a lot, but that's
Yeah, they're like, you're not getting paid a lot. It's like, well,
that's why people get turned off to it.
yeah, but if you have, a couple like 100,000, like maybe like 100,000, 200,000 listeners or something like that, you're getting paid while you're sleeping, man. Like, just,
Passive income.
I mean,
yeah,
you
passive income, dude.
I think what was it? It's 200,000 streams would give you minimum wage, basically.
Yeah,
For
that
one
video you
person.
did.
One
Yeah.
person.
Yeah,
So in order
yeah.
for your 3 members to make just minimum wage and quit your jobs would be 600,000 streams a month.
Yeah, and dude, we could get there. It's
think anybody
it's
can get there.
attainable. It's attainable without a record label.
It's not like there are not musicians doing that.
Right,
And that's a lot of people get so turned off by how difficult it is. And they just kind of accept that, we don't go in with any delusion of grandeur, like, oh, we're going to be the biggest band in the world. But it is very realistic to look at it and go, hey, if you do it with the proper game plan and approach it the right way, it is very
Dude,
feasible
look
to
at
make
all
money.
your favorite bands. Like, look at Pantera, look at Lorna Shore, look at like all these crazy bands. They took at least 5 to 10 years to get to where they were. It wasn't.
Absolutely.
They didn't blow up overnight, dude. It takes a long
Hard
time.
work.
It's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's a
hard
marathon,
work,
not
man.
a sprint. A lot of people
And
want
a
to
lot
sprint.
of people just see the highlight reel, man. They're
Yeah.
just like, oh, it's an overnight success. No, it's not. Like,
No.
Post Malone is the only legitimate overnight success.
But
and he didn't really get big until like 3 or 4 years later.
yeah, I mean, he still worked hard. But I mean, it was a very quick rise for him, though.
And I only say his name for like that does happen, but it's rare.
Yeah, it is rare.
But
Very rare.
But the alternative to that is you could either do what he does and release one song and just cross your fingers, or you could get a game plan,
Yeah.
work, get a like-minded group of people that are
Yeah.
approaching the same outcome, and accept that it's not going to be a short run. You're gonna go through a
You're in it for
grind.
the long haul, dude.
Yeah, that's what it takes,
Accept,
man.
embrace the suck, as they
Yeah,
say.
exactly.
You want a cool thing you could do to like find out how much like other bands are making on Spotify is take like the average like listener will listen to a song probably about 4 times. Like so, what you do is you take whatever monthly listeners they have. Say they have 100,000 monthly listeners. Multiply that times 4. So that means they have 400,000 streams a month, and that's how much they're making every month.
At least.
At least.
Yeah.
So there's bands out there with like, 300,000-400,000 monthly listeners. Then you just times that times 4, which is typically about how many songs
Dude, Bill Murray,
Oh,
that
dude.
dude is making bang.
he is. He's making thousands a month just from royalties.
Yeah, just from royalties, man. He is making thick money. Like,
I like his
golly,
approach
that is-
too, man. He's like so funny with everything, and it's like his videos are always like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I just have a
But
passion
his
for
songs
merch."
are like, thickly. But dude, yeah, like the songs are so good too. Like they're like these lo-fi, like just awesome songs. Like you wouldn't expect it, but you're just like, man, this is so cool and catchy.
Dude, I want to
and-
get him
and
on the
that's a part-
podcast.
Name's Johnny, isn't he?
Yeah, he used to be in Attack Attack.
Yeah,
He was the guitar player.
Yeah, that is independent success right there. Yeah.
I emailed him, but I didn't get a response. But I'm gonna keep trying,
Yeah.
dude, because he's for real. Like
Dude,
he
yeah.
needs to be on this podcast, so people could be
Dude,
like,
it's independent success,
Yeah,
man. He is the poster child for it. He's killing it right now.
"Oh, I know, man. I'm trying to study his methods, but it's wacky."
I think it's just remixes, man. I swear it's like he's releasing remixes and then like other, things like, this version's with this person or, this is the thicker version or the country
The
version. or
thicker
something.
version.
It's just-
Oh my
the
god.
thick, he says thick so much. Thick boy.
And cranking your hog. He sends that like,
cranking your hog, brother.
dude. I remember when he started that. It was like it just caught on so quick, like fire, dude.
And it's so dope to watch, man. Like there's so many cool bands that are just doing things that, aren't necessarily on labels and everything and they're just killing it.
Social media changed everything.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
dude.
absolutely.
Growing up, whenever we were in high school, we couldn't fathom, like, one, we couldn't fathom having the power of recording that we do in our own home studios.
For sure.
You know, that was unheard of.
Yep.
And then two, it was no one, you know, MySpace was the biggest thing. And like people were so focused on paying money for cool MySpace banners that no one would realize that the way marketing would change with TikTok, with Facebook, you know, Instagram. It's just a whole nother ball game. It's important to play local and DIY circuits.
But you don't have to grind anymore.
You don't have to do it anymore. You're like, the grind does not have to be struggle the entire time.
Yeah.
You can do it a smart way and enjoy it instead of, you know, feeling like a broke, stinky band guy that has no money to his name. Like, you can do it a proper way, and you can do what you want in a band without having to go through the ringer the entire time.
I think it's a beautiful thing.
That ringer's what kills it.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
It allows people to get that creativity out without being stifled, you know, without having to reach.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I mean, just only in the past 10 years, dude. It's like crazy.
Even just in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still,
man.
I mean, think of what COVID did to bands that weren't doing anything during COVID. A lot of them
Huge.
Yeah, I mean,
Huge.
and you know, I mean, you had to completely rethink your approach to releasing music, to marketing your own music.
Yeah.
Because, you know, once you went a whole year without being able to talk to most people, you know, that changes a lot, man. And it changes a lot of how people interact with each other. So, and, you know, you saw a lot of that. People's personalities and stuff started staying in the social media cloud more than they were in the real world. And so it just changed the way bands had to reach out to people.
Yeah.
Well, you saw that a lot with, you know, like the live concerts and stuff like that.
Patreon started getting bigger, and you know, now they're doing all these things where they're connected with their fans and stuff.
I think that's the future for me. I think that's like the future of, you know, independent music, man. It's like building a community with your fans. Like I love Patreon, dude. I mean, it's amazing. Like, you really get a tight knit group of people that really just support what you do, and it's amazing. It really does keep you going.
You don't feel like you have to be on eggshells. You know, you don't feel like someone's going to yank your income out from under you, you know, for nothing. Like, if you build a community through that, that's people that believe in you. You know, it's owning a small business is all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's a mom and pop store, but on the internet.
And you treat your customers right.
You make the internet a little smaller.
Micah, you're just coming in with the analogies today, man. I love it.
I'm full of them.
Shut up, Morgan Freeman.
I was so scared to start one whenever we first started, because I was like, oh, I don't want to beg for money. But then it's like, well, we're actually offering things. So
It is the fan experience.
the fan experience, yes. What would you guys say is the most valuable thing you learned this year as being independent? What did you guys do this year that you think helped you?
I guess patience. Patience is a good one for me, personally. Like, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody on that one, but I get very impatient. Like, when we work on something that we're very proud of, you know, and it's really easy to want to like rush it out. You have to know when the time is right, or you have to know, like, if you miss your window, hold off and don't release it.
I think I learned to trust your bandmates with creative processes.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Because I didn't really trust Micah with handling like lyric videos.
This man had no faith in me. No faith in me.
Or album art.
What did he do that didn't give you a good impression that he was going to do a good job?
Yeah, Tyler. What did I do?
Put him on the spot.
Like, man,
I think I just sent you stuff that you just weren't vibing with. You know, that happens. Yeah.
it's not like I hated it or anything. I was just kind of like, it's just not like the vibe I think we are trying to go for and everything. But once he kind of figured that out, and then he did this newest lyric video that's about to come out with this new song, I was just kind of like floored by it. And I was just like, why have I never trusted you before? Now we don't have to pay like $600, $1,000, you know, for somebody to do a lyric video. I could just be like, hey, Micah, give you $50 to do this lyric video.
Pay some gas money.
You're welcome, Micah. I put him on that DaVinci Resolve.
Thanks. That's right. That's right. Well,
Dude, it's so good, man.
But it all came from pure frustration working with and nothing against any of the guys we worked with. Like, we have a lot of awesome work done by a lot of awesome guys. Like, we've worked with some people where we're like, you know, you feel like you get put on the back burner, or their schedules don't line up with yours, and you know, you're trying to make things work in a time frame and it doesn't. So we just started finding ourselves frustrated. You know, like we were stuck with this last release waiting on album art took forever, and that's not any of his fault. It's just
album
finalizing
art and like
the guest vocalist thing, lyric
Guest
video.
vocals, like,
So we were frustrated, and we were like, there's got to be ways to streamline this and not have to rely on third-party people so much. And we were just all in a text message, and I was just like, am I about to make a lyric video for us? Tyler was like, please.
Hell yeah, Bubba.
So
Let's go.
I just cranked out like 14 cups of coffee and just banged out a music video.
Dude, killed it too, man.
I'm excited. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't wait to see it, man.
Trust your other like band members and everything.
Oh, dude, this is a sweet moment. He gave him a kiss. Oh, that's sweet. I can agree with you because I went through the same thing with Sarah. Like I was telling you earlier, like it was like so hard for her to write lyrics every month. And there was like 1 month where I had to write the lyrics because she just couldn't do it, and like I guess it was really hard for me to let go after that happened. Like I was so scared it was going to happen again, and I was like, I got to write the next one, and she's like, no, let me do it. And I had to trust her, like okay, do it. And then she did. She came through, and we made it through. I think that's what got us over the hump too.
Yeah.
Well, there's something to be said about like crunch time too. I don't think if I was just goofing off and like doing a lyric video out of a labor of love, it wouldn't quite be the same thing as me knowing, all right, we have a song that's going to come out January 6th. Like I have no deadline. Like it has to be done, and like, cause we had a finished video that we were just like, it's not really what we wanted. Like it just wasn't the vibe. It just aesthetically wasn't really what we were looking for. And that's a hard, like I said earlier, you have to be willing to have conversations like that. Cause we love the guy to death that did it for us, but it just wasn't what we wanted. It just didn't work. And we had to have a hard conversation. And
Micah went and just, took the reins.
Yeah. I kind of was like, just trust me. I think I can do it justice. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out good.
I'm excited about it. I know we keep talking about it.
Trust your bandmates.
Trust your bandmates. That's a good bit of advice for real.
Dude, we have gone this whole time without talking about Era. Holy
Dude,
cow.
please,
I am impressed.
Holy cow.
I said don't mention Arrow on the podcast.
no, I really don't. It comes up very frequently.
Figured it would, yeah.
It's a part of my past, man.
You know.
I'm proud of it, dude. I really am because I really did put my heart and soul into what I contributed to Era, and so I'm proud. Yeah. I'm glad I was a part of it, and it's in the past now, and I'm over all the beef that went down. But it's part of my life.
Hey, we're thankful for it, man.
And it's funny how you get older and you realize that the beef that you had was just kind of like
very dumb.
Kind of like, nah. Or, you're like, why was I even that mad about it? That happened to me and some like former bandmates, and it was like, after like talking about it, you're like, man, why did we hate each other? It's like it doesn't even make sense.
That's how me and Jesse felt like
when you think about it.
Like they played their first headlining tour show in Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham.
And that was basically the gist of the interaction between me and Jesse. It was just like, I wish we weren't so stupid when we were younger.
That's part of life, though.
Yeah.
Don't know what you have till it's gone.
Anyway.
So this next question kind of has something to do with like the independent stuff. What do you guys think the future of independent music is going to look like?
Honestly, I kind of feel like the whole idea of the record label is just kind of going to just fall apart. It'll still be a thing because, people still want it and everything, and people still, crave, being on a record label and, having that privilege that they give you of, selling vinyls and merch and all that and selling your music and everything. But it's going to be so much easier for people to put their music out there and for it to get discovered on these apps.
I think we're already there, man.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think we're in the future of indie music.
Spotify is so nuts, man. I've had probably 5 or 10 new bands that I've discovered this year that I absolutely love. Mm-hmm. Just by Spotify showing me it. And the same thing with Apple or YouTube or,
Yeah,
and for sure. It's just...
Dude, Spotify is like a lethal weapon for DIY artists. And then not only that, but the coolest thing about Spotify is it's AI. Like it's algorithmic playlist and its learning ability to listen to what you listen to and then recommend you bands that sound similar or that they think would be into.
Pretty spot on with it.
It is.
Yeah. That's the crazy spot. Yeah.
It's really, really good. And I think that's what Spotify has over any other streaming platform. And that's what's going to really ultimately make them the leader.
Spotify has made it very clear that they're oriented towards indie people or towards the individual themselves, right?
Right.
Like, before it was, you didn't have access to all these numbers and stuff unless you were a record label. But now Spotify is like, hey, here's this numbers, here's all this data. This is how we're giving you the tools you need to figure it out.
They're laying the plans out for you.
Like
they're telling you that, hey, if you reward us with bringing more people to our platform, then we will reward you with more listeners, more fans, followers, all that stuff.
And paychecks.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Paychecks. Yeah.
They're giving you the access to look at the script and be like, hey, here's the coding we use.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's
And
how these bands are doing it.
A lot of people don't want to pay attention to it. They're just kind of like, oh, we don't get paid enough. And
it's also
cry about it.
And it's also the idea, like, people forget that there's a lot of, everyone says, hard work gets you where you want to be in life, but like the music industry is no different.
Right.
Like, talent does not get you that far in the music industry. It'll get you noticed for like a quick second,
and then you're gone.
Yeah, and if you don't have work ethic and you don't have the willingness to, again, push through the uncomfortable, the music industry chews people up.
Oh, for sure.
And before they even take off, it's so disheartening because there's a lot of great talent that gets lost because of that.
And I've seen instances where like there's like not to talk trash on people for following their dreams, but because honestly I look at this as a positive, but at the same time I look at it and I'm like, this is weird. But what I'm saying is there's like people out there, their content's not really that good, or their music's not that good or whatever, but they're consistent. And they've got like a solid fan base, and they're blowing up, and they're like doing very well for themselves because they're so consistent, and they're utilizing, the internet, and they're, they look good on paper, and they look like they're successful. But for me personally, I probably wouldn't subscribe to their stuff or listen to it. But
yeah,
and there's,
dude, think about the Island Boys. The Island Boys got big, like, because they kept posting stuff. They kept getting a hot tub and Island Boy, like that's all they did, and they got big. They're huge.
If you get in people's face enough, they're gonna listen to you eventually.
Exactly.
Like that's why Facebook ads are so. That's why they work so well.
Yeah.
Because if you're scrolling through Facebook and you see something enough times, curiosity is gonna set in.
Yeah. And
even if it's for one out of every 10 people.
Yeah. But I
curiosity
see sponsored ads all the time from like big bands, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, they're running a conversion ad just like everybody else would.
The exact same ad.
They're doing the same thing that you could do without the label.
They're just using more zeros behind their numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Than you are.
They just have
That's the only
more
difference.
money. That's it.
Yep.
But they're using the same programs, the same AI, the same algorithms.
Yeah, dude.
It's like the old saying, like, the billionaires in the world, everyone runs off the same 24 hours in a day. It's the same thing. If marketing tools, everyone's using pretty much the same tools.
Yeah.
You just got to be willing to figure out what tools to use.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah, man, I agree completely.
Do the sound. Toy sound.
Is that Tim Allen from the Santa Claus?
Yeah. But every time we go to a show, that's like anytime there's a break in the music, you just hear someone going.
Just stupid stuff. Yeah. Crazy.
What's the plans for your band in 2023? Like, what are you guys gonna do different next year?
Release more songs.
Not drop the ball like we did in 2022. That really, it's kind of a joke, but that really is the, I think we wanted to bang out at least 3.
Yeah.
At least.
Are you guys setting a campaign for each release? Like, or are you just, is that just a number you're just throwing out there? You want to do 3?
Yes and no. We know kind of like roughly how long it takes for us to get a single into rotation, from like studio to, that's a lot of what it's based off, but it's also, good release times in the year.
As long as you're keeping like your fans like somewhat engaged and everything.
Doubling down with like marketing budgets. And,
yeah, exactly. You want to do it like very special and very, planned out and everything, We try and do like one music video, maybe a year or 2,
The biggest song would probably have the music video.
Yeah. And so we'd like to plan and everything and, just be very frugal with our money and stuff and, try and be smart and everything rather than just blow it on stuff. So,
because I think ideally, like next year, we've talked about doing in between release cycles, just still putting money into marketing, doing that more.
Like maybe like even remarketing old songs.
Because it's easy. Like once you get out of the honeymoon phase of a new song, it's really easy to you're kind of like, all right, I'm done with that song. You know, I don't want to think about it. But you still have to promote it. You know, you still have to promote old stuff.
songs are like they can still be promoted and everything, and
Yes.
you know,
and they can take off out of nowhere.
Yes.
You know, you never know.
I was just gonna say that, like, you guys, like, don't get into the mentality of like thinking that your single's done a month or two after you release. No, you can revive an old single. You just got to put that
absolutely.
release campaign behind it. Oh yeah.
But it's, and just to go back to, the 2023 thing is a big thing of that is we recognize that we need to do that more often. We have to be more consistent about constantly engaging with our own music and our own fan base, because we get so focused on working on the next thing that you forget to go back and, you have to keep the energy up, and you have to keep the flow going, or else people are they're gonna forget about you, and then you go to release a new song, they're like, oh yeah, that band, they play music, they're on my playlist.
Yeah, for sure.
Our response time on Facebook is like under an hour, and that is not because of the two of us at all.
It'll be like that thing on Facebook where it's like responds in less than 2 hours, and yours is like
42-minute response.
yeah.
Which is crazy, because Jordan doesn't respond to our text messages that fast. So we're really confused on where the attention's going.
Oh, he really loves the band, I guess.
He does, yeah. But no, we give him a hard time.
Yeah.
We give him a hard time because he's not here, and we love him.
Also, I wanted to ask, how do you feel about like pre-saves, Alan?
Pre-saves are important because it lets, like the algorithmic playlist, not the editorial ones, but the algorithmic.
Yeah.
Discover Weekly and Release Radar.
It sets you up for success because it's basically letting Spotify know that, hey, this band has some people that are looking forward to this release. And when they push it out, and the more, I guess, engagement, more listens it gets on like the first few days is like very important. So the more pre-saves, the better, and the better chances you have getting on more algorithmic playlists. And it's just, you got to kind of stay consistent and in people's faces about it. Like, and another thing I'll add about like how the playlisting and all the algorithmic stuff works on Spotify is like collaborations help. So this collaboration that you're about to release is actually really good because it's going to curate towards the people that listen to that band, and then their fans will become fans of you, and then your fans will become fans of them. So it's just you're gonna like feed off of each other.
They're in our like artists that are similar to.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So like it's just gonna work out perfectly.
It worked out really cool because like we said, like the mic feature all just felt like it came together.
Yeah,
but it was cool because like when we were trying to figure out vocalists and we all agreed on mic, I was just listening to like our songs for like practice, and like the next song that played was a Conviction song, and I was like, that's a sign. I was like, that's
and
thick.
It's kind of like,
and it's just out of nowhere, just a song just totally just coming up on a random shuffle.
It makes sense.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, it's pretty cool because if the algorithm thinks that we sound similar enough, then, like you said, a collaboration is going to just magnify that.
That whole Christian metalcore community is going to be like, oh my God, it's like 4 days back.
With Howard Jones.
Oh
my God,
God, the Chariot came back, guys. I love when people are just so psyched about like reunions and stuff of bands, that were big like 10, 15 years ago or something like that. And then they're just like, oh my gosh, they're back.
We've noticed a lot of people do collabs rather than just features now. Mm-hmm. And we were like
saying in the songs anymore, they're not saying the name of the person that's like singing on it. They're just putting the artist's name like as the main artist.
That piqued our interest. We were like, why is that happening?
Like Fit for a King did a song with the guy from Ghost Inside. I forgot his name. But instead of saying his name, Virgil, it says the Ghost Inside on it. So now it's appearing on Fit for a King's thing, but it's also appearing on the Ghost Inside's artist page. So
once we figured out it was, it had something to do with the way that the AI picks it up, we were like, that makes a lot of sense.
A lot of people really smart doing that now. We were just kind of like, okay, well, we'll try it. So,
and at first you kind of feel weird because it's like you don't want to feel like you're piggybacking off of the success of another band.
Yeah.
But in reality, that's what features are. I mean, that's literally the purpose of them. But we did feel okay about it because it did feel like a collaboration because we allowed Mike to take so much control over what he did. So we felt really justified.
And we
calling
made
it a
sure to
collab.
ask him like, hey, can we use the Convictions name?
Yeah, we wanted to do it respectfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be coattail riders or anything like that.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm a huge fan of Conviction, so that was a big reason I
Yeah,
pushed.
we all like
Yeah,
Convictions.
so it was,
Oh.
I was like fanboying when he was like, "Yeah, we'll do it."
Yeah.
So, but it, like you said, to add to what you're saying is, we were very much aware that it might help us out, and it was cool for us. Like we're trying to make those kinds of decisions when we approach songs,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big thing for us going forward, is to try and be mindful of stuff like that. It's a good little tip for people that just want a random boost in listens. And Tyler found this out and brought this to our attention. A very easy way to get a cool little boost in traffic is to do an easy AMV, like
Oh, yeah, on
anime
TikTok.
music video on
Yeah.
TikTok. Just pick an anime and pick a fight scene from it.
Like fight
Yeah.
scene or whatever, and put your
Slow
music in the
breakdown.
background and
Boom.
make it look cool. Make it like put effects in the video or something from TikTok or whatever. It took me like 15, maybe 20 minutes a day.
Easy
maybe
views.
less, dude.
Easy.
Like, yeah. And I did that for like every day for like 2 or 3 weeks. And we grew probably like 100 followers and like, 100, 200 listeners. Like, it's not like huge growth.
That's actually
growth.
And we're
smart.
not a band that, we're not doing AMVs as like our main marketing, but those are popular, and
Yeah,
it's
people
a
love
cool
AMVs,
trend.
yeah.
So something, finding a cool trend on TikTok and jumping on it,
Yeah.
never hurts.
for
It's
sure.
always a
Yeah.
positive thing. Humongous reach, too.
Humongous. Yeah.
Kids love anime, dude, so that makes sense. Growing up, like if you liked anime, you were weird, but now it's like the thing.
Now, like anime, you're weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's popular.
Yeah, look at that weird guy. He doesn't even watch anime. Naruto.
The
For a lot
whole
of
like
people.
another thing that's like really good for marketing and like developing your branding and band is reaction channels. Reaction
Yeah.
channels on YouTube are huge now.
Yeah.
Hardcore Keem, Orion Reacts, ton of them. There's just tons of
Some of them are super expensive for no reason, but other ones are.
Well, you got to pay
Some
them to
like-
be on it.
Some of them, not all of them.
Yeah, because what they do is with reaction channels, like if a band like monetizes it, they don't get the money
True.
for the ad.
True.
So what they do is they get the bands to either like pay them to do the reaction, or they have like a Patreon to where like people could see reactions that maybe may not be on YouTube because it was flagged or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like you pay them and they put it on their channel and they react to it and everything. Views,
So
man,
weird that
like,
that's
it's
a thing, dude.
Yeah.
People love watching people react to things.
It is a weird thing because but when you think about it, like when you and your friends would all gather around a computer and like your biggest joy was that one friend that had never seen it before and watching his reaction. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's a human, it's just a human emotion.
Yeah.
Like you enjoy
True.
seeing other people witness something for the first time. And it's an easy way for people to tell if they're gonna like something or not.
Yeah.
They
I'd
find
rather
someone
watch reaction videos than mukbang.
yeah, for sure.
Well, man, I appreciate you guys being on the podcast. Before we go, is there anything that you want anyone to know, like any advice for anyone that's looking to become an independent artist?
Always be mindful of who you surround yourself with, because you will only be successful as the people you put yourself around.
Right.
And it's very easy to be in bands with people just because they play an instrument and they're fun to be around. But if you want to do it and you want to grind and you want to try and turn it into a career, you have to be with like-minded people that know what it's going to take to do that.
Absolutely.
And you have to be realistic. You can't get discouraged when you're not breaking 1 million views on your first video that you release or anything like that. So, if you have people in your circle that are of the same mindset, that journey is a little bit easier to go through. Especially you have people kind of just giving you a little dose of reality here and there when you need it. That's my 2 cents.
Well said, man. Well said. Well, it's been awesome, man. I'm glad you guys came on and, shared some of your wisdoms and your impressions.
But
Yeah, thanks for letting us ramble and digress from topics constantly.
Oh, no, dude.
Appreciate you.
I love that.
But yeah, brother. Hey, we'll let you go, man. Go play daddy duty.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Y'all take it easy, and I'll keep in touch.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for having us again, man.
Yeah, no
Have a good night, man.
Got you later.